in the 4 states.
We're going to go from talking about temperatures way above average to finishing off with a winter storm watch. We'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And why you need to check your mail before you file your 2021 income taxes.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Author James Watkins said, "A river cuts through a rock, not because of its power, but its persistence." And today, because of that persistence and hard work and dedication of many individuals in this room, it is my privilege to be the first to welcome you to what will be Bourbon County Community Hospital.
Bourbon County and Fort Scott commissioners announced the reopening of the hospital in Fort Scott. This is KOAM News at Noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Topping our first 7 minutes, the hospital returns to Fort Scott. Mercy Hospital closed its Fort Scott location in December of 2018. Last summer, Noble Health began exploring the possibility of reopening the former hospital, and today, representatives from Noble Health announced they've obtained a design firm to begin the revitalization and restoration of the building. It's the process they say will take several months, but once complete, will eventually be the new Bourbon County Community Hospital. A Miami, Oklahoma man is in jail after leading police on a car chase with multiple shots fired. Authorities responded shortly after 8 a.m. Saturday morning to 2 vehicles who were reportedly chasing each other and a person in one car shooting at the other car. The 2 eventually stopped and one person got out of a car and began shooting at the other car again. Officers later located that car that shots had been fired from, and they discovered 2 men in the vehicle and took one of them into custody. The investigation is still underway. Well, today we've got beautiful weather across the 4 states. Enjoy it if you can.
And while you can, this sounds terrible because I want everybody to enjoy a beautiful Monday, but at the same point in time, I caught myself throughout the morning looking at the low pressure system, being like, all right, T-minus 36 hours, winter weather watch. That being said, remember, we've actually got 2 nice days ahead of us before the winter weather does descend upon us just in time for the beginning of February. That was a live look outside of Television City, of course. Hardly any cloud cover. Got to work up into the far northeastern section of the 4 states, and we're dry. We'll stay dry. We'll talk a little bit about our precipitable water values here in just a little bit. And comparatively speaking to what we saw from yesterday, look at this little slot of warmer air as it makes its way just in front of the winter system and then just down to the south of us. So we're going to be way above average for this time of year. We're already throwing up 60s throughout southeast Kansas right there, Miami and Joplin and Carthage, all chiming in at 63 degrees. This is a far cry from where we were this morning, as we actually had temperatures that dropped as low as 17 degrees. We'll tack on 40 plus in just the last 5-6 hours there, as we're up to 57 in both Fort Scott and Nevada. Topping out around 3 o'clock and doing so around 64, 65 degrees. What a marvelous way to finish off the month of January. And then we turn our attention to the icons at the very top and we go, oh my, what do we have developing here? Well, we've got enough developing to give us a winter storm watch. Technically, this does not take effect until Wednesday at midnight, but it's never too late to talk about it because it is going to have quite some travel impacts. Will begin as rain for Tuesday afternoon and evening, but then for Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. We see the transitional phase as we not only have the snow, but really the key factor is what we see in pink, because that is the freezing rain and sleet. And you can tell it dominates 44 and 49. Far cry from being over throughout Wednesday afternoon and evening. Additional snowfall rolls in. We're going to see significant accumulation for the central and northern portion of the 4 states. And Tanya, once it hits, it is here to stay, because we've got temperatures in the 20s, overnight lows down single digits. That being said, while we await our winter weather, well, they can finally begin their cleanup in the Northeast.
That's right. Million faced an icy commute today after a brutal weekend of wild weather. Nor'easter brought heavy snow, howling winds, and coastal flooding to much of the Northeast. There have been at least 4 deaths connected to the storm. CBS's Mola Lingi rode out the nor'easter in Boston, where almost 2 feet of snow fell on Saturday.
The powerful nor'easter swept up the coast with raging winds, frigid temperatures, and coastal flooding.
The streets officially flooded.
Blizzard conditions were reported in at least 6 states.
We have high winds before, we've had high tides before, but it's the wind, it's the tide, it's the snow, it's everything all at once.
And more than 2 feet of snow in at least 3 states. Staunton, Massachusetts recorded more than 30 inches. Sea spray from the massive waves along the coast encased homes in Brant Rock with ice. This is a satellite photo of the East Coast Sunday morning. You could see snow stretching from South Carolina to Maine. Parts of the island of Nantucket were inundated with floodwaters. The cold temperatures even went as far south as Florida, coating some fruit in ice and freezing iguanas.
It still looks a little cold.
Thousands of flights were canceled. On Sunday, it was all about digging out.
Backbreaking.
And for some, having fun. Well, it doesn't look like this snow is going away anytime soon. Temperatures here in Boston are not expected to get above freezing until at least tomorrow. And if that isn't enough, another storm system is in the forecast for later this week, bringing snow and freezing rain with it. Mola Lengi, CBS News, Boston.
Well, the United Nations Security Council meets today to discuss the Russian threat to Ukraine, where the U.S. intends to put the Kremlin on the defensive. Moscow maintains it has no plans to invade, but has amassed roughly 100,000 troops on Ukraine's border. Thousands of citizens there are joining local defense units in preparation for a possible Russian invasion. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, your child tax credit may be reduced when you file your 2021 taxes, but not completely. How you can find out how much you're still due to receive. And later, we're making Chinese almond rounds in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. While the future of monthly child tax credit payments remains in limbo on Capitol Hill, households with children should pay close attention to a letter from the IRS. Karen Kafa runs down what to know about last year's monthly child tax credit payments and what's ahead for the attempt to bring them back.
As tax season begins, millions of U.S. households with children are receiving IRS Letter 6419, and experts say it's important.
It documents how many children the IRS is aware of that you have or dependents that qualify for the child tax credit, and it tells you how much payment the IRS made on your behalf throughout 2021.
From July through December 2021, the IRS says more than 36 million households received monthly advances on 2021 tax credits for children under age 17. The payments, part of the $1.9 trillion COVID relief plan signed by President Joe Biden last March. Caroline Bruckner, managing director of the Kogod Tax Policy Center at American University, says this will require extra attention when you file your taxes.
In recognizing that this may be a little bit confusing, the IRS rolled out a new website, the childtaxcredit.gov website, where you can go to research how much you should have received, how much you did receive, and reconcile that letter with what you actually got.
The number on the letter should represent half of the amount to which a household was entitled. The other half can be claimed on a 2021 return. There were no payments in January 2022. The program expired with Biden's social safety net package mired in Senate gridlock.
We hear from families themselves that they said, the child tax credit is not nearly enough to sort of live on or give up their paid work for. What it does do is help them get to work, by making sure they can cover childcare expenses, put gas in the car.
Megan Curran of the Center on Poverty and Social Policy at the Columbia University School of Social Work says research showed the payments helped lower child poverty rates and child hunger.
The number one use of the child tax credit payments has been on food.
In addition to reviving the child tax payments for 2022, the stalled Biden Build Back Better bill wants to boost funding for the overstretched IRS. Without that, this tax season, Bruckner urges taxpayers to seek help early, especially with pandemic-era programs.
This has created just an extraordinary amount of work with fewer folks to actually do that work than at any other time, and this is also compounded by the reality of the pandemic.
The filing deadline for most taxpayers is Monday, April 18th. In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
This tax season could be more stressful than usual, and your refund may be delayed. Agency advises taxpayers to file electronically, use direct deposit, and file early. Still to come on the KOAM News at noon, Mr. Food.
This week kicks off the Chinese New Year, and to ensure that it's a sweet one, we have a classic almond cookie that might just bring you luck.
But first, Michael Hayslip returns with your complete forecast.
Where's the time gone? It is hard to believe we are getting ready to wrap up January and open the book in what's going to be a chilly start to February. Also, too, for those of you that have been pining for snow this winter time, you're going to get it this week. Trust me. Before we get there, let's talk about the warming trend that we had from this morning, where we dropped as low as 17 degrees out in the western portion of southeast Kansas. And then look at that, about 9 o'clock, that sun began to bake in right there. We've seen anywhere from 40 to 45 degree bump up. A beautiful, beautiful Monday over 7th and Range Line in Joplin. 63 degrees is where we stand already. And of course, that's thanks in part to that wind shift overnight, now moving in from the south-southwest. Our temperatures are 63 in Carthage. Out here, this is where we had as low as 17 degrees. Now we're up to 60 throughout Neodesha and Independence, Miami, kicking in at 63, and Fort Scott and Nevada able to hold on to 57 as well. So we've already exceeded our average high for the last day of January, 46. Or even our lowest places are about 10 degrees above that. It was astounding how dry January was, wasn't it? Only 0.67 inches of precipitation. Now we'll make that up here early in February, that is for sure. Sunday was delightful as well, but 24-hour temperature change still has about 10 to 15 degrees warmer than what we were at this point in time yesterday. And not just us, the entire Midwest just able to enjoy marvelous, marvelous end of the month. What you've got here is a little slot of warmer weather that extends just down to the south of us, all the way up just to the northern portion, or southern portion of that cold front right there. And you'll notice the ridge of the jet stream. It's not one of those big inverted U shapes by any means, but you see it's got just a little bump to it, and it moved rather quickly. Earlier this morning, it was actually hanging just about in Utah. And so that's a result of the sunshine, and you get under the ridge and you're going to have warmer temperatures and just beautiful, beautiful weather. Not a worry in the world, no precipitation. Speaking of lack of precipitation, when we talk about the precipitable water that we got, because we're awaiting this low pressure system to drop down on us, but for the time being, we're very, very dry. The precipitable water, you imagine that's that column, goes straight up. How much water is up in that atmosphere? Really kind of isolated through portions of Texas. Barely see it cross the Red River right there. So we're very, very dry, at least for the afternoon and evening hours. Max out about 65, 66 degrees this afternoon. Wind isn't going to die down anytime soon. Keep on coming in from the south. And really the beginning of tomorrow is still looking great, because we're able to stay well above freezing temps overnight. And we'll go high 40s, low 50s as a matter of fact. And then that's when things begin to change. So as we work toward Tuesday's noon hour, by the time we're doing this again tomorrow at the noon, we're going to see some scattered rain. Not a whole lot, not widespread, but it just simply increases from there to the point where we even get some heavy rain throughout Tuesday night along and south of I-44. Now, while that's going on, we've got the rain, Our temperatures are dropping with the cold Canadian air mass that's moving in from the north. We begin to see it flip over far north through Kansas City. They're going to get it Tuesday night, and then Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, it's on us. And this is why we're going to talk about legitimate accumulation numbers, because in the north, where it first flips over, we've got travel concerns for the pink. That's an indicator of freezing rain and drizzle just in time for the Wednesday morning commute. And even as it flips over to snow, we keep the freezing rain down there for the Wednesday evening commute. And watch this bout of snow. It's almost like it's a two-rounder of snow, but it lasts all the way from Wednesday night into Thursday morning. It is training, it is training, it is training and rolling through. So that's why we've got that winter storm watch. We're going to get a much better idea of our accumulation numbers by this evening. We're starting to wait to see, long story short, Tanya, it's called a warm nose. The deeper south the warm nose pushes means more snow.
Okay.
The longer it stays up to the north, it means more freezing rain. It's like pick your poison. And honestly, with the timing of it, I'd be more comfortable with it flipping over to more of a snow base, but our accumulation numbers then get higher. Mm-hmm. But it cuts down on the freezing rain and the freezing drizzle.
The freezing rain is where it always gets dangerous.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
All right. If we can avoid that, even better. All right. Thanks, Michael. We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Kenneth Brock, in the U.S. Navy. The Frontenac, Kansas native joined the military in 1942. He served in the South Pacific aboard the U.S. Hornet. The sailor earned 4 Bronze Stars, the Presidential Unit Citation, and the Asiatic Pacific Bar with 1 Silver Star. To Kenneth Brock, we thank you, our 4-state hero. If you're looking for a classic treat that'll bring you luck in the Chinese New Year, check out today's recipe. We're making Chinese almond rounds in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
This week kicks off the Chinese New Year, which is also known as the Spring Festival. It's a time for celebrating and for spring cleaning, where it's a tradition to sweep away the bad fortune to make way for good luck. And since we believe every holiday or festival needs sweets, we want to share a classic cookie that may bring you luck. We begin by creaming together some butter, sugar, an egg, water, and some almond extract. After that's well blended, we add some flour and baking powder. Make sure you do this slowly so you don't end up with a big mess. Now we scoop or roll the dough into 1-inch balls and place them on a baking sheet. And to get these just the right shape, we flatten them with the bottom of a glass and sprinkle them with sugar. Then we top each with an almond and we bake them off. That's all there is to it. What we end up with is a melt-in-your-mouth cookie that's bursting with flavor. You can whip these up start to finish in less than 30 minutes. To get the recipe for our Chinese almond rounds, all you need to do is check out our website, and hopefully these cookies will bless you with good fortune. I'm Howard of the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a lucky, festive way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
That does look good. You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at koamnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our 4-state market prices.
Great looking Monday, pretty nice Tuesday morning. Then we'll have the rain Tuesday afternoon and evening. Then we'll have the dreaded wintry mix Wednesday morning. Then we'll have the freezing rain. Then we will have the snow for Wednesday and the Thursday, leading us to a winter storm watch that lasts all the way to Friday.
What do we have coming up tonight at 5?
Well, at 5, the CDC says it continues to monitor COVID-19 variants circulating here in the U.S. and internationally. We're going to learn more about a new sub-variant of Omicron called BA2 in Health Watch. Plus, an Independence, Kansas man is arrested for allegedly making threats against the President of the United States. And a blood drive with an incentive. Allen County College is hosting a drive with a chance to win Super Bowl tickets, just in case you're interested in the Super Bowl or any of the teams participating in it. Those stories and a lot more coming up. KOAM News at 5.
I don't know, Michael might be Bengals fan.
Bengals, yeah.
We love you, Joe!
All right, thanks for joining us for the KOAM News at noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.